My name is Jeff Liles. I'm the artistic director here at the Kessler Theater in Oak Cliff. We're in the process of restoring and renovating the building, getting it ready for its presentation next year as a new live music venue and a place where you can see writers and interesting people. One of those interesting people from Oak Cliff here tonight is Burnett. He's got an art opening coming up that the theme is about the way the music used to be delivered about 35-40 years ago. And by that we mean analog tape and 8-track analog tape. Bucks, tell us what's the deal with it? What's it called, and what's your motivation?
Well, the exhibit is called 8-track tapes, the Bucks Burnett collection, because everything in the exhibit is actually from my personal collection.
Before you tell us about your opening coming up, tell us about the store that you're involved with right now. You've got a little section in a store.
Yeah, I opened what I call a micro record store, and it's called Erotica, and it's located inside of Dolly Python on Haskell Avenue, 1 mile east of Central Expressway. And I opened it because CD World went out of business, and they put a sign on the door that said, sorry to leave you, Dallas, why don't you start a record store?
Wow.
Or someone started a record store, and I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I think I will, because I'm really sick of this. I'm tired of these music stores going under. And so I found a cheap way to do it. I just leased space from Dolly Python, and it's this little mini LP store with 8 tracks and CDs and LPs.
One of the things that I remember about 8-track tapes, I don't know about y'all, but you know, there's a way after you listen to certain things a certain way. Like if you had vinyl records, your records had scratches and pops in certain places. And after you get used to hearing those songs a few times with those scratches there, your mind would kind of be ready to hear that pop. Even when you hear the song on the radio, you kind of hear the pops from your individual record on there. And one of the things that I remember about 8-track tapes is a lot of times they couldn't fit more than 2 or 3 songs on a track. So there'd only be half the song there.
Right.
You know, and then half the song would happen, and then it would like fade down real quick, and you'd click over the 3rd track, and then it'd come back up real quick, And in a way, it was kind of weird because I remember I would still to this day, like maybe I'll hear a song by Yes or something, and I'll remember this is where on the 8-track it fades out for a second and clicks over,
And people hated that back then because you'd be really stoned, and you're in this immensely great passage of a 17-minute King Crimson song, and all of a sudden it just stops, and you hear this clunk and a pause, and then that music continues right where it left off. Everybody hated it then. It's become kind of charming now. I want to make a CD. I want to put out a CD called the 8-track tapes and recreate those exact interruptions from the 8-track version of the
So
song.
if you want to listen to an 8-track tape these days, what do you do? I mean, what can you find an 8-track player?
It's really easy, and if you don't mind, I'd like to demonstrate the best way to listen to an 8-track tape. Hold this open part just up to your ear.
So are these some of the fossils that you got for the show this week?
Yes, these are my ancient relics.
Tell us about them. What are they?
Okay. Starting from my right, your left, we have from 1982 an 8-track that is extremely rare on this format. Remain in Light by Talking Heads, my favorite Talking Heads
Great
album.
record.
Yeah. And I actually looked for this 8-track for 20 years, and I found it today. I got it in the mail today.
That's when the Talking Heads are at the top of their game. If you don't mind me saying so, Bernie Worrell on keyboards, Adrian Belew on guitar, huge band, great songs.
I preaching to the choir on that one, man. And then here we have a 1966 Mary Poppins soundtrack 8-track, and it's on a super primitive format I call the shell, which is this big bulky shell cover with a slide off area, and then you remove the tape, and it's got this crazy little check
that even an 8-track tape?
Yeah, check the title spine, dude.
That is crazy.
Looks like the back of a car.
Do you remember play tapes?
Yeah, I've got some play tapes.
Play tapes were the very, very first music I ever
Two-track.
got. They were
Two-track.
literally like little tiny 8-tracks.
Yeah, tiny 8-tracks.
I remember getting Stevie Wonder's like first couple of records and the first Beatles records on play tapes. That was my introduction to music, like when I was 3 years old. You know?
This is a beautiful, pristine, steel sealed Apple Records pressing of the 8-track copy of Plastic Ono Band Live Piece in Toronto, 1969. One of the best albums ever made. Lennon and Clapton rocking out live.
That's still not the Beatles, though.
I know, but one of those guys was in the Beatles.
I'm just messing with it.
It actually used to be a very rare record and nobody knew about it, and it's gotten a cult following over the past 30 years, is Metal Machine Music by Lou Reed.
Oh, yeah. Just pure noise.
Yeah, we all have our feelings for Metal Machine music.
I don't know a single person that's ever listened to that record from beginning to end.
I have.
All the way through?
Yes.
Please.
And with
no sooner than you would go turn on your Disposal and a blender and a vacuum cleaner and every other.
We'll go back to your place and we'll make a record and put it out.
But a double album, not just any album, but a double.
It was a 2 LP set of just industrial noise,
white noise,
and I think it was like filling up the last
no
record.
Songs, no lyrics, no verses, no choruses, no themes.
But Jeff, I have exciting news. No more do you have to play all 4 sides of Metal Machine music and then start all over again with the bulky process of changing LPs. On the Metal Machine music 8-track tape, you put it in and let it play endlessly over and over and over.
And here's the acid test to know whether or not you're completely demented, is if you listen to that so many times that you know where the program clicks are going to happen amidst all that.
Now here's a nice 8-track. Collectors out there, or budding 8-track collectors, anytime you see a Beatle 8-track for sale online or at a garage sale, if it's on white plastic, you ought to get it. Because from the year 1965, when the 8-track was invented, up until 1969, all 8-tracks on Capitol Records were white plastic. And then last but certainly not least, George Harrison's solo masterpiece. It was 2 LPs, All Things Must Pass.
Oh, yeah.
But check this out. I think this is a massively beautiful packaging job here. Anytime Apple Records put out a twin cartridge set, as they were called, they always made a deluxe slipcase for it.
Yeah.
And so this is a great example of rock packaging at its finest and most obscure, because you've probably never seen one, have you?
I can't recall.
If you think 8-tracks are just about nostalgia and classic rock in the 60s and 70s, well, you're wrong. Because the 8-track continued as a format until 1989. I actually have 8-tracks by U2 and Madonna. Michael Jackson. So there's a lot of stuff much later in the game on 8-track than you would believe.